Officials in Ukraine say a newborn baby and her 12-year-old brother were among 7 people killed in a Russian strike in the Kherson region on Sunday.
The mayor of Lampedusa Island accuses the EU of sitting on the sidelines while people die, as the Italian island struggles to take in thousands trying to reach Europe.
Relief efforts are ongoing on the Hawaiian island of Maui, following the deadliest wildfires in the United States for over a century.
Officials in Ukraine say 7 people, including a newborn baby, her 12-year-old brother and their parents, were killed on Sunday by Russian shelling in the southern Ukrainian region of Kherson. Another 13 people were injured, according to local authorities, who said there were several Russian strikes in different areas of the region.
Загалом лише від початку цієї доби до 6-ї вечора вже 17 повідомлень про обстріли лише в Херсонській області. А ще Миколаївщина, Запоріжжя, Донбас, Харківщина, прикордоння з Росією в районах Північного Сходу.
In the separatist eastern Donetsk region, Moscow-backed authorities claimed 1 man was killed and 1 woman injured in an alleged Ukrainian strike on a rural house on the outskirts of the city. Local media reported more than 100 US-made shells were fired on Sunday, including cluster munitions. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Russian Defense Ministry stated in a video released on Saturday that its forces carried out a strike on a military airfield near the town of Kolomyr in western Ukraine on Friday. But Kyiv claimed they hit a civilian building in the town, killing an 8-year-old boy.
An open wound in our humanity. That's the cry from Pope Francis, speaking from St. Peter's Square Sunday on the recent shipwrecks in the Mediterranean and the migrant crisis as a whole. The Pope has called for politicians to heal this wound in a spirit of solidarity and fraternity. The mayor of Lampedusa Island has also been vocal. He says Europe is not pulling its weight to support the Italian island. Mayor Filippo Menino says the EU is slow to intervene and cannot stand idly from the sidelines as people die.
Noi ci troviamo al centro del Mediterraneo e non possiamo voltarci la faccia se c'è gente che ci chiede aiuto e soccorso. È logico però che Lampedusa non può essere lasciata sola. Servirebbe veramente una forza europea, un intervento europeo di salvataggio in mare.
At the same time, Europol is trying its best to clamp down on human traffickers. In Spain, a joint police operation ended with the arrest of 19 people from a criminal organisation allegedly engaged in the smuggling of Syrian migrants to Spain, Germany and Norway. According to investigators, people trying to reach Europe are paying up to €20,000.
Catastrophic wildfires which ravaged parts of the Hawaiian island of Maui are now the deadliest in the United States in more than a century. That's after the death toll climbed to at least 93 on Sunday. The US military, aid groups and individuals are doing what they can to help the thousands who survived but lost everything. Many Hawaiians now reside in temporary camps. Hundreds are still missing, and authorities warn that efforts to find and identify the dead are still in their early stages.
This is my house right now. This is my house. Yeah, okay? I've got waters. I've got ice and Gatorade. I've got foodstuffs. Not a lot now, but I do have enough to survive on.
Anger grew over the weekend as many who fled the flames were prevented from returning to their homes. Hawaiian authorities have begun a probe into the handling of the fire, how it spread so rapidly with what residents say had been no warning.
Over time, we'll be able to figure out if we could have better protected people. That's why we're reviewing everything. We want to do that in a very open and transparent way. But it was complicated by the fact that there were multiple fires across this beautiful island at the same time.
Hawaii's Governor Josh Green says now is the time to help rebuild and repair. Amid the devastation, faith leaders are mounting relief efforts and offering comfort and hope for those in need.
One week after a deadline passed for mutinous soldiers in Niger to reinstate the elected president or face military intervention, coup leaders are now open to diplomacy to resolve a standoff with West Africa's regional bloc, a group of senior Nigerian Islamic scholars said on Sunday. General Tiani declared that his door was open to explore the path of diplomacy and peace in order to resolve the crisis. ECOWAS was exploring its options to restore civilian rule in Niger, including potential military intervention, following the ouster of President Mohamed Bazoum on the 26th of July. The 7th coup in West and Central Africa in 3 years. Meanwhile, thousands of people attended a concert in support of the army officers who overthrew the government.
Far-right populist Javier Milei shocked Argentina's political establishment on Sunday by receiving the most votes in a primary ballot to choose presidential candidates for October's general election. The 52-year-old libertarian economist is an admirer of former US President Donald Trump and has called for the Argentinian peso to be replaced by the US dollar. Former Security Minister Patricia Bullrich was the top choice of voters from the main opposition Together for Change coalition. She received 27% of votes, defeating the more centrist contender Horacio Larreta. Argentina's Minister of the Economy Sergio Massa was chosen as candidate for the ruling centre-left Peronist bloc, with 25% of the vote. During these primaries, Argentinians pre-select the parties and candidates for the forthcoming election. Despite compulsory voting, the 69% turnout was far lower than 4 years ago, reflecting political disenchantment in a country gripped by sky-high inflation.
7 of Hong Kong's most prominent pro-democracy activists had part of their convictions quashed on Monday over their roles in one of the biggest protests in 2019. They included Jimmy Lai, a former newspaper publisher and one of Hong Kong's most prominent pro-democracy activists, who's been spending around 23 hours a day in solitary confinement in a maximum security facility. While the 7 were cleared of organising the protests, their convictions over taking part in an unauthorised assembly were upheld. Croatia is reporting record levels of traffic as tens of thousands of vehicles descend on the popular vacation destination. In the port city of Split, officials reported 90,000 ferry passengers and 17,000 vehicles over the weekend. Traffic jams along the country's principal highway, leading from the capital Zagreb to the Adriatic coast, were up to 7 kilometres long. In Switzerland, queues at the Gotthard Tunnel reached up to 8 kilometres, half the length of the tunnel, a popular route to Italy and the resorts of southern France.
Hungary's biggest music event, the Sziget Festival, stands up against Russian aggression. At the main stage, Ukrainian artist Dima Malachov performed in front of thousands. More than 10 Ukrainian artists perform at the Sziget Festival this year. Most of them were brought to the festival by an NGO set up by music industry workers made redundant by the war.
People in Ukraine got more interested in Ukrainian music than before, and that's why I began to perform more, or I've got more like monthly listeners on different platforms.
This year, the UN set up stalls to inform festival goers and draw attention to the current problems refugees are facing.
Már nem arról van szó, hogy a határon vagy különböző ilyen gyülekező pontokon kell ételt vagy takarókat osztani. Most már arról van szó másfél év elteltével, hogy segíteni kell a menekülteknek beilleszkedni, integrálódni a társadalomba, hiszen mindenki láthatja, alig ha lehet bárkinek kétsége afelől, hogy ez a háború még sokáig el fog tartani.
Russia, on the other hand, is another story.
A tavalyi évvel ellentétben idén nincsenek orosz fellépők a fesztiválon, de az orosz vendégeket most is szívesen látják, amit mi sem bizonyít jobban, mint hogy a bejáratnál most is ki van rakva az ország zászlaja.
Euronews journalist soon encountered a girl from Russia now living in Budapest.
I moved here for work and I feel Hungary is a very welcoming country. I don't have any issues.
One thing's for sure, the Sziget Festival has room for both the Ukrainian and the Russian flag.
In the northern Irish county of Tyrone, relatives, friends and locals have paid tribute to the victims of the Omagh car bombing 25 years on. In 1998, 29 people lost their lives after the real IRA detonated a bomb along the Omagh High Street. It was the deadliest bombing of the nearly 3-decade-long conflict, known locally as the Troubles, which happened shortly after the conflict was formally ended by the Good Friday Agreement.